Hey guys, so today I just kind of want to talk about being neurodivergent and some of the things that I do find that's really weird that neurotypical people think it's normal, especially when it comes to building relationships. So let's get right into it. One of the main things I noticed when I chose to stop masking was the fact that I did not care to be on the phone all day or just be on the phone to just make small talk. And one thing I found that for neurotypicals is very normal for them to just make small talk or want to be on the phone with their friends all day. And that was something I really struggled with at first, like letting my friends know that that's just not something that was feasible for me anymore. And I feel like a lot of people thought like I was pulling back from them, but it's like, no, I don't want to sit on the phone all talking about what did you eat for lunch. Like, is there something important you want to talk about? Is there an emergency? Let's talk about that, or if there's something that you want to like let off your chest, let's talk about that. But just to be on the phone 24/7 all day, I found that that's something that I do not enjoy. It just takes a lot of energy from me, and then it tends to ruin my day when I do that all day. But for neurotypicals, that's very normal for them to in their house and take care of their kids and just be on the phone just cause. I feel like for them that's like checking in, but for me it feels like you're disturbing my peace. Another thing that I always found weird was I find that for neurotypical, that's very normal for them to just say things that they don't necessarily mean. And for a long time, I thought that was like them kind of just being a liar, but I understand now that that's just the social norm for them. It is technically to me still a little bit wrong. Like, I don't think you should say something that you don't really mean. Like, don't say that you're going to show for somebody or come help them do something when you don't really want to. Fine for them, they just say that to like just be nice and to just kind of like keep the peace or seem like they are sensitive. And for me as a neurodivergent, I would just prefer if you were just really honest and just say like, hey, that's past my capacity, I can't help with that, or I can't show up in that way for you, and then kind of like not doing it and like making me decipher your actions based on that, so that I don't just say stuff just to say things. Really take words very literal. Like, if you say like, I'm going to do this for you, or I'm going to come help you move, I'm gonna come do anything that you say out of your mouth, I really take that really literal and I believe your words. In the past, I've tended not to look at people's actions and just look at their words. That's something I also really struggled with. And just to go into the next one, another thing like I really struggled with was being fake. Like, I've always just been like, if I say something, that's what I stick to. It if I'm talking about somebody, then I want my actions to reflect that. And for a long time growing up, I felt like, especially in friend groups, that was always a problem, because I'm like, weren't we just talking about Ashley? But now I don't know, Ashley, that's just the name I've been using. But it's like, we were just talking about this person, or you were just expressing that you don't like this person. But then it's like, I see on your stories, you and Ashley are going around town. You guys are enjoying each other's company. I'm just like so confused, because me, if I say I don't like somebody or I don't enjoy somebody's company, I'm going to stick to that. And I'm not going to surround myself around just be their friends just for like social norm, or just like to fit in, or just to keep the peace. And that was always something that I battled with in friend groups, was like I was always honest and stick according to that, while everyone was just playing along to get along. And I remember one of my friends at the time even said like, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. And that was like her excuse of like being fake. And I just was never able to like really comprehend like why this behavior was happening, and I always felt left out. Now that I understand I'm neurodivergent and that's just not how I move, then that's just how I don't move that way anymore. And I've had a lot of friends saying like, oh, you should have to fake it to make it. And unfortunately for me, I don't know how to fake it to make it, and I don't want to fake it to make it, because that's just not aligned with who I am or my morals or my values. The next thing that like I always kind of struggled with was setting boundaries, especially as a neurodivergent. I feel like a lot of my boundaries was just not understood because I just wasn't normal to them. Not wanting to do what everyone's doing and just understanding that that just wasn't a space for me to be in, or saying like, hey, I don't really want to go out. That's just, I don't have fun. And I just felt like I was always weird for like everyone else is having fun at this event, why don't you want to do this? And or just rather going to like the park in college, or just wanted to do like stuff at the time that I guess a lot of my peers found to just be boring. And I feel like when I try to set those boundaries, they didn't understand why those boundaries were in place. That was always a struggle because my boundary, and that's just like what I prefer to do. Not even like a boundary, that's just like what I prefer not to do. And I feel like I always had to over explain myself. And at the time, I think I was seeking validation, but like I always would end up doing the things I didn't want to do because I just felt like, you know, no one understood where I was coming from. So I would just eventually do what they wanted to do, to hang out with my friends and stuff, but no one really went out of their way to like care to do the things I wanted to do. And I felt like for them, they just didn't understand. But that's just how neurotypical people like behave. Like they do want to get along to get along. Like, and I want to say something in a really less judgmental way, because I don't think like, you know, neurotypicals are just like people that just like follow the crowd and stuff, but I think like they fall into a lot of social norms more than like neurodivergents do. And that leads me to like my next one is like I feel like I've always been like my own person, of having like my own identity, and I feel like they get really influenced by each other, and they tend to just do what each other is doing, and that just makes sense. Like, you know, there's a new trend, we all need to be wearing this trend. As me, I've always just like had my own personal style, my own personal way of doing things that just worked for me. And I felt like that was always an issue too, because it's like, why do you want to do it this way, and why can't you just do it how everyone else has done it all these years? When it even came to like picking my major, like everyone will kind of like do the same thing, or, you know, we're picking like similar majors. Or for me, I had to really sit down and understood, like especially in college, like what am I interested in learning? Like what can I actually have the capacity for learning for 4 years and actually be dedicated to it. That's like another thing that I feel like I really had to get adjusted to, and just understood that like I felt a long time I did feel alone, because it's like, dang, like no one else is ever doing the things I wanted to do. But now, you know, with my diagnosis, I just understand that I wasn't born to fit in, be able to do my own thing and make space for myself in whatever capacity that looks like. Yeah, I want to share some more on my journey of like being neurodivergent, and that's like what my channel is about, just having a different mindset, and it's okay to think differently, and it's okay to live your life differently. And